Welcome to Hustle and Flow with Heather Hubbard, episode 133.
Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard, and I was a litigator, partner, and practice group leader at an AmLaw 200 firm. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you embrace your ambition without selling your soul? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast.
A quick heads up for today's episode. I am interviewing someone whose book has cuss words in the title, and we both get a little carried away. We're both redheads and cussed in the episode as well. So if you are listening with kiddos around or at work or any place where someone is going to be sensitive to adult language, be sure to pop in your headphones. All right, let's get to the episode. Welcome back. I am your host, Heather Hubbard, and thank you so much for joining me today. I have another fiery redhead on the podcast today. We have Oonagh Duncan. She is a multi-award-winning fitness expert, author, speaker, specializing in helping women get lean, strong, and healthy through a habits-based approach. She's the founder of the Feel Good movement, which means that fitness is not just a number on the scale, but it's about feeling good. So everything is about healthy habits. And Oonagh, I am just so excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome to Hustle and Flow.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And Oonagh has a new book out. Okay, guys. So you need to go read it. And I put this on social media. So hopefully you pre-ordered your copy. You've already gotten it. You are already reading it. But it is called Healthy as Fuck. The habits you need to get lean, stay healthy, and kick ass at life.
That's right.
Congratulations on the book. Yeah. That has to be so exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting. Heather, this is like one of those bucket list things for me. I've probably spent the last 20 years going on and on about how one day I'd write a book. And then it's actually funny how it came about. I was out for lunch or dinner with a bunch of my clients, and one of them mentioned that they were writing a book. And you know when someone says something that they're doing that you really want to do and it just you?
Yes.
So I immediately said, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. I just don't have time. And then as soon as it was out of my mouth, I looked at who I was speaking to, and I know this client. She is a rabbi, a doula, a college professor, and a mother of 2 toddlers. and so as soon as I heard myself tell her that I didn't have enough time to write a book, it was like this, and she was really gracious. She just shrugged and said, I don't have time either. And it was like a mirror to my own bullshit. And especially because it was just so perfect with my client, because I am constantly hearing from my clients how they don't have time to exercise and eat well. And I've just heard that so many times that I know it's bullshit in that context.
Yep.
So telling a client that and seeing my bullshit it was the immediate catalyst to being like, right, I am going to have to stop talking about this and start writing the damn book.
That's where I am right now. So I'm working on a keynote and a book, and it was the exact same story. I've had this Post-it note on my wall forever. And then it's like, if I'm teaching this work, right? If I'm calling people out on their excuses, I've got to be willing to look at my own,
Well, exactly. And Heather, I don't know how it works. It's funny you mentioned about the keynote, because I'm also now working on a TED Talk, and I got it very last minute. And so all through this book launch, I'm also working on that. And the other day I was in a super self-development junkie, and I was at this workshop where we had to write down all of the things that are currently in our life that at one point seemed impossible. And then we had to look at all these things and think, is there a pattern of how I make things happen? And I realized that for me, I basically just jump off a cliff and then just panic and figure it out as I go. And I realized that that's basically how I've achieved all the things that I've achieved. And so one thing that I'm thinking for you, if you're saying, I'm teaching all these things and there's this stuff that I want to get accomplished, and then one thing you might want to look at is, how did this podcast come to be? How did your incredible career come to be? And then think about what are the patterns that made those things real, and see if you can apply them at all to the next thing you want.
Yes. I love it. And can we just go ahead and say, with your book, I thought I was going to dig in and get all of this, stuff about getting healthy, fitness, all this stuff, which I did. But you start with your entire first section is on mindset. And it's really just personal growth. And I was just nodding my head saying yes and amen to every piece, because at the core, that's really what you are, right? It's about personal development and growth.
Dude, that is it. The longer I'm in this industry, the more I realize it really has very little to do with push-ups and eating kale and all that. It is all in your head. And you're right. So the first section of my book is called Get Your Head Out of Your Ass. And it's really all of the mindset stuff that everybody skips, which is why we're on this. So many people are on this treadmill, or like I'd like to call it in the book, the weight loss roller coaster of, feeling like, okay, I've discovered this new thing and it's my new thing. It's not a diet. It's my new lifestyle. And I'm really into it. And oh my gosh, it totally works. So I'm doing this now. And then one weekend comes around and you say, I don't feel like doing my new lifestyle, but that's okay. I'll pick it up on Monday. And then you pick it up on Monday, but it's kind of lost its joy, but it's your new thing. So you keep going. But then on Wednesday, it's your friend's birthday. So you got to celebrate. And then Thursday doesn't count because you haven't slept. And then, and then you just, and then you start to, have these points where you feel good, I'm doing a good job. But then those moments get further and farther between, and then you start to feel down on yourself. And then you start looking for the next thing, whatever diet it's going to be. So this is the weight loss roller coaster that I spent most of my life living, and that I've witnessed so many of my clients living. And I just feel like the road to stop that insanity is not a new diet trick or a superfood or a intermittent fasting protocol or whatever. It's none of that. We have to get really, really clear on the psychology of what is motivated, what our triggers are, what our rewards are. And that's when I talk about the habit loop. But I also say, you got to also figure out, is this worth it for you? Maybe you don't really want to lose weight. Maybe it's not that important to you, and that's why you're not sticking to it.
Yes. So I have to tell you, this is where I always told people when we're talking about goals, if you're not really in it, don't even go after it, because you're just going to set yourself up for failure, make yourself mad. And what's the point? And, I'm an emotional eater. I know this. Mm-hmm. And I had really gotten on a great diet. And indeed, it was a diet because it was very restrictive, and did great for 18 months, 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Then I had a major health crisis and some other issues. And so I went straight into the bad habits, right? The emotional eating. And it's been completely, a little bit out of control for the last year. And I keep saying there will come a point where I'm ready. And I'm getting close to that. But talk more about that with the audience. For people who know they want the results, but if they're being honest, they're not yet willing to put in the work.
Totally. It's are you ready, willing, and able to change right now? So are you ready? And I love, Heather, that you just identified, I'm not quite ready yet. It's something you see okay, that's something that's going to have to be dealt with, but I'm not quite there yet. So once you've identified, yes, I'm ready. And for most people that I'm ready, there's usually a catalyst moment. Either it's, there's, for some of my clients, one of my clients, for him, it was hitting 300 pounds. And that was just a red light number for him that he was absolutely not, never again. For some people, it's, they want to have children and they're having trouble conceiving. It was often that catalyst. For some people, it's a positive catalyst. My wedding's coming up. But usually, unfortunately, it's like a rock bottom catalyst moment.
Yeah.
So that's often what gets people ready. Then, are you willing? So a lot of times, so what I have people do in the first section of my book is sort of plot out their effort to results ratio. And so most of us have tried a million diets in our lifestyle. And I know that for me, if I completely abstain from alcohol, if I track all my food, if I keep under a certain blah, 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 then I can get pretty small. However, I also know that makes me unhappy. So I consciously choose another area that involves me eating probably 80% of the time, but still enjoying a great beer at sunset, totally eating my mom's homemade banana bread, stuff like that. And for me, that means with my genetics that I have a little bit of a belly, but I never look at my belly and think, oh man, I wish I could get rid of the belly. I'm that's the belly that I chose through my lifestyle. And so now my only job is to love this belly. Mm. So it's really up to you to pick the effort that makes sense to you and then get super happy with the results. Or you pick the results you want and you get damn happy executing the effort. But I think that where people get unhappy is where they have this idea of the results that they want, and yet they are not willing to put in the effort. And then there is the disparity between those two things that has that cognitive dissonance, makes people unhappy and makes them not proud of themselves because they feel like they should be doing more than they are. Whereas I say, if you consciously choose to say, this is exactly how much effort I'm willing to put into this project, then all you got to do is be happy with the results and let it go. Let it go.
Right. So you say in your book, for some people, you really do just need to love your body more. But for others, and I actually loved this because, I'm super ambitious and competitive. You said, look, if you want Tina Turner legs, go for it.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So I think that, on the one hand, and because I come from a background that was a fat activist, like I used to, not only did I grow my body hair, dude, I mascaraed my body hair to stick it to the man. I'm not kidding about that. And I tell that story in the book. So that's my background. But then on the other hand, I actually feel that I'm serving women better to be like, because I realized that most of my clients, even though I was really firm about sticking to this feel good only narrative, but I was really ignoring what a lot of my female clients were coming to me. They want weight loss. And actually that is totally okay. And it's not up to me to say what people should want for their body. And so the analogy that I give in the book is, if you had to choose, if you ever say, a woman says to another woman, oh, I'm on a diet, I want to lose 10 pounds so that I can look awesome at my son's bar mitzvah or whatever. Usually the other woman will say, that's ridiculous. You don't need to lose 10 pounds. You look amazing, right? And normally we think of that as a very loving response. But my problem with that response is that A, your opinion of someone else's body is totally irrelevant. So why share it? And B, you're squashing her ambition. She says she wants to lose 10 pounds and look amazing, whatever that means to her. Then her only job is to support whatever her ambitions are. And if, for example, just to kind of clarify, because that exchange seems really normal in our society, imagine it was a woman who said, I want to start my own business and earn an extra $100K a year just so I can go on a ridiculous vacation. And then the friend said, that's ridiculous. You have a totally average income and you don't need fancy vacations.
You should be happy with what you have.
Yeah, you should be happy with what you have. You should love yourself the way you are.
Yep.
That would be completely disrespecting what that person says that they want for their life and their vacations.
Yes.
And so this is what we do when people say, I want to lose some weight, I want to fit into a size 6 or whatever. And then we immediately counter with, you don't need to do that. You're fine the way you are. I feel like, wait a second, don't we as women get to choose what the hell we want to do with our bodies?
Yeah, I found it so interesting because, right, I am a feminist. And so it's because, we consider well, do we want to look this way because that's the way the patriarchy has made us think? And it's like, well, who the hell really knows? And why don't we let each woman decide for herself? And let's not judge her either way.
Exactly. And that was a lesson that I learned when I was training other personal trainers. And a lot of the trainers who took my class I refer to them in the book as those orange people. And those were people who, they do bodybuilding and bikini competitions and they get the orange tan and they stand on stage and they twist sideways and they flex. And, when I was in my fat activism days, and I would have completely that would have been my biggest, snottiest eye roll for those kind of people. But then I got a little bit older and I realized, wait a second, why is that any better or worse than someone running a marathon? They both take a lot of physical stamina. Neither of them particularly benefit society in any way. It's really just all about that person's ambition. And who are we to judge whose ambitions are better than another's?
Yeah.
So that's why I really feel like, the patriarchy getting you down is making you feel like crap with your body as it is.
Yeah.
So what is a revolt against the patriarchy is loving your body exactly as it is and knowing that you have unbelievable potential to make it whatever the hell you want it to be. And all women should be supporting whatever anybody wants for their own body. And that could be, running a 6-minute mile or getting 6-pack abs or whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be the body that they have and glory in that. And I think that all of those options are good and it's not up to anyone to judge.
Right. So let's say we've decided whatever it is, right? Whatever our goal is, we want to get a little bit healthier, whether it is for, just vanity or it's just for our health. I've read the book and everyone needs to read the book, but what would be your number one tip to just getting started, right? Because sometimes that's the hardest piece. It's getting started.
It is absolutely the hardest piece. So, I think that the thing that, and you know what, I get so much pushback on this, Heather, because everyone's like, okay, what's the plan? Give me the meal plan, give me the workouts. And all of that is great. 100% love all of that. But I honestly think that one of the biggest keys that is going to help everyone is meditation. And everyone gives me pushback on that because they're like, yo, I hired you to give me abs, not enlightenment. Give me a break. But the deal is that with meditation, you're going to get so much more aware of your unconscious habits. And so the reason this book is a habits-based book is because habits are running approximately, psychology thinks probably around 40 to 45% of our lives are running on these habit loops, which is basically a trigger, behavior, reward loop that we do unconsciously without thinking all the time. 40% of our lives, this is happening. And so that is I feel sad, I reach for the peanut butter. But that's also maybe at 6 a.m., I lace up my sneakers to go for a run. So these patterns, we can start waking up to them and realizing, because they can be working for us or against us. But unless we wake up and start to notice our patterns, we are going to keep doing these unconsciously all the time. Mm-hmm. And so that is where the biggest bang for your buck is going to be. It's waking up to your patterns and realizing what is triggering you and what is the reward you're getting for it. So if I can just speak quickly about emotional eating, Heather, because that's for you. And I know it's been so many people listening. So for example, let's say you get that 3 p.m. cookie craving that so many people get, right? So if you are like, okay, look at that. I have this pattern. 3 p.m. I always reach for the cookie. So even just waking up to that is amazing. Then what you want to do is say, okay, when I reach for that cookie, what is the reward that I'm getting from it? Is it that I'm looking for a sugar hit because I need a little energy, mid-afternoon energy? Is it that I'm actually so bored of answering my emails that I'm just looking for a distraction and a break from work? Or is it that this day has been a little bit heavy and I feel like I need to feel treated and loved? And so this is the kind of inner work that no one can do but you. And if you meditate, if you take a moment to just sit there and figure yourself out, then you can start to think, what else would make me feel that way that is at least a health neutral behavior? Because I see, people are like, give me the magic meal plan. And I'm like, okay, try eating celery instead of a cookie. But the thing is, right? Like, if I tell you to do that, then we're basically on a countdown and it doesn't give you the reward that you need, then we're on a countdown until your willpower runs out. And by the way, I'm very impressed that your willpower lasted for 1.5 years, because usually it's like 90 days max for most people.
Yeah. Well, I think I really had turned it into a habit.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because I don't know. I think that was a habit for you. And I think that maybe you had a catalyst moment in the opposite direction.
Exactly. That is absolutely what happened. And then I just was like, I'm going to let this go because I can't. Yeah, like the other way. But I want to talk about this because we're talking about the emotional eating. And so a lot of my listeners, most of them are either lawyers or some type of other professional that is like a super high demanding job. And you talk about chronic stress, in the book, and how it really messes with our appetites and like from the craving sugar and fat. And we have really, really, really high
pressure jobs.
But it's alcohol. We have our profession.
For sure.
Like, we definitely abuse alcohol. Yep. And one of your things is we got to ditch the booze. And I will tell you, as I was reading that entire chapter, I was like, I don't know that I could do this, Oonagh. So, but talk to us about that, right? Like, because we know that we have this stress, but we don't always do anything about it. So I would love your take on how we can be kinder and nicer to ourselves with health, whether it's fitness, food, whatever else, and these bad habits that we have.
Oh, dude. Okay, well, let me come back to the alcohol because I'd love to talk to you about that. But first, let me speak about being gentle to yourself, and especially to all you gorgeous lawyers and high achievers. I freaking love you guys. I have so much respect for you. But I have to tell you with so much love that you type A people actually have a really bad track record for behavior change. Did you know that? Type A people really have a tough time with behavior change. And here's the reason. It's because they tend to have an all or nothing mentality. They don't allow the small wins. So this is one of the hugest things that's going to be massive for you guys. And guys, I get it. I spent so much of my life saying, if I can't do something right, I'm not going to do it at all. And let me tell you, with so much love and respect, that is some macho bullshit that is going to prevent you from achieving your goals. And that's why I have a chapter of my book that's called, If You Can't Do Something Right, Do It Totally Half-ass. So, and that's the power of small wins. And the reason small wins are so freaking powerful, and let me just explain what I mean by small wins. So let's say you're trying to build a habit loop that every morning you go for what are you, 3-mile run. Okay. So instead, one morning you wake up and you're like, hell no, I cannot. I've got a cold coming on. I didn't sleep. There's no way I'm going for my 3-mile run. So then you would think, okay, well, can I at least, go for a 3-mile walk? And you're like, no, it's raining. I'm not doing it. And they're like, okay, well, can you at least go for a walk around the block with an umbrella? And then maybe you'll say yes. Or maybe you're like, no way, I'm not even opening the door. It's stupid outside. And then maybe it's like, can you just put on your runners?
Mm-hmm.
And then here's the deal, is that you then, even if you just put on your runners, you still have to reward yourself as enthusiastically as if you had gone for your run. And the reason for that is we're trying to build these automatic habit loops in your brain. And every time you have the trigger, it's 6 a.m., you do the behavior, which is go for your run or some small version of it. And then you have the reward. And an example for a reward for a run would be, obviously feelings of self-satisfaction and endorphins, but maybe it's like the awesome music you got to listen to on the run. Maybe it's ticking off, I did my run on a calendar or whatever, but you still have to allow yourself that reward because then you're reinforcing the habit loop and you're moving towards automaticity. And that's what we want. We want this to be on autopilot. We don't even think about it anymore. So
speaking of lawyers writing the all or nothing and high achievers, we love literally gold stars, like write the gold star stickers.
Yes.
And I sometimes do that. Like I will go buy the gold star stickers. It's a reward, right?
Yes. And this is what I'm saying. You have to give yourself the reward as enthusiastically. And I know, lawyers, I feel you right now. I know you're going to be hard on yourself and say, I didn't go for my run. I suck. I'm not allowing myself the star. I'm going to say,
right.
Give yourself the star. And I want you to treat yourself like a little kid who maybe didn't do the best job in their homework, but they gave it their best that day and they still tried. It's like, I'm serious, guys. It's everybody gets the participation medal freaking event.
And you are so right, because you know what I would do? I would go buy stickers of different colors. And if I did really good, I would get a gold one. If I did kind of good, I would get a blue. And if I just put on my runners, I would get a red. That's what I would do.
No, I'm saying you got to give yourself a gold everything. Because listen, here's the deal. If you even just go for a walk around the block, instead of thinking that as a failure to go for a run, think of that as the success of getting off the couch. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not all or nothing. Because listen, if you are expecting that of yourself, I'm telling you right now, you will not be able to sustain an all. So you're just going to go to nothing. And life doesn't work that way. It's small, consistent behavior. So it's really, if you want to give yourself a gold star, you can give yourself the gold star for consistency. Consistency of any version of your habit will build the automaticity that you want, and it will be so much more effective than going, because so many of my high achiever clients, this is what they do. They're perfect during the week, absolutely perfect, gold stars every single day. They did their 6 a.m. workout and they ate nothing but salad. And then Friday comes around, they're going to freaking snap. They start with like 3 cocktails starting at 5 p.m., everything, and then basically continue that cycle until Sunday. And then they're like, oh my God, I totally overdid this weekend. I'm going to start with a cleanse on Monday or salad or whatever. And so basically what they're doing is 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, no progress, maximum drama and damage to your body and your psyche. So instead what I'm saying is like slow, steady progress.
That is so good. I love that because I'm all about consistent action. So that resonates with me. You've got to reward yourself no matter the effort in order to build that habit loop.
Yeah.
Love it.
And guys, I know I have the exact same pattern as you, so I get it. I completely get it. In my community, I talk about, there's people with tiger personalities and turtle personalities. And a tiger is someone who goes balls out. A tiger is someone who starts making the recipe before they even check if they've got all the ingredients. Someone who just like goes super hard, but then they burn out. Yeah. And they're actually, even though they seem so impressive, like we probably all follow tigers on social media and we're like, wow, look at them go. They're so amazing. But then they ghost when they actually fall off the wagon.
Yep, totally.
Right? Because they never want to present anything other than their best tiger selves. Tigers really have a hard time with consistency and they're really all or nothing. And they tend to go 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They get exhausted. Turtles are people who are like, I don't know, this is kind of crazy. I'm not going to fully commit. So turtles are really sort of hesitant. They don't want to put themselves out there. They would maybe go to a fitness class, but they would have researched it for about 4 weeks before they get back. Whereas the tigers, like front row center, like, give it to me. And they would never even go unless they were in that mood. So what I'm saying is, I'm guessing most of your people are tigers. And tigers.
I don't know. I got a lot of turtles. Overanalyze everything.
Okay, well, I am a tiger and I love you, tigers, but I'm saying you got to work on this. Find your inner turtle and find the consistency and allow yourself the small wins. And know that if you don't allow yourself the small wins, that is ego. And I'm saying that with love because I struggle with the same bullshit.
Yeah.
And turtles, I want to give you absolute respect for your consistency.
But you got to get started.
You got to get started. Yep. Researching. You don't need more time. You don't need more money. You don't need more expertise. You don't need anything. Get off the couch.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk booze a little.
Yes. Let's talk booze. Do you know what, Heather, you know how you said that you were thinking about getting, back into some healthy habits, but you weren't quite ready yet?
Yep.
I resonated with that because for years now, I've known that for me personally, going alcohol free was the next step in my, not only fitness journey, but in my sort of spiritual personal growth journey.
Yep.
I see it there, but I was like, I'm not ready. I know I'm not ready. So I'm just going to see that there for a bit and know that that's next, but I'm going to actually acknowledge that I'm not ready to take that step. However, this month, so I'm like, this month, I'm 13 days into it. I'm 13 into being alcohol free. However, so I will say that this is a big step for me. Booze has been a thing for me because because I'm that tiger. I love hardcore workouts and I love the salads, but I also love drinking.
Yeah.
And I love the unwinding and I have an identity that is around that. Cause I grew up, I was a passionate smoker for 10 years and I loved, I liked thinking of myself as the vivacious party girl. And I was a bit like, whatever about people who chose not to be that. So this is a big shift for me. And so let me talk about the booze in general. So in general, I hate that I have to recommend that people don't drink, but I really do have to say it is probably the biggest shitstorm if you are trying to lose weight. It is the worst thing you can do. It will mess up your sleep. And I have a whole chapter on why you really need to have good quality sleep if you're trying to lose weight. There's a great, I recommend this person all the time. There's a wicked program that's called maybe it's the 30-day alcohol-free challenge. It's by Annie Grace. And she has a wicked podcast called This Naked Mind. And the reason I love her approach so much is like when I was trying to quit smoking, I read Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Smoking, which just shifts your perspective of smoking. She does the same thing with alcohol. It is an amazing, amazing resource. Her quote, she says, everything that we think alcohol is giving us, it is actually giving us the opposite. So for example, we think that it's helping us unwind at the end of the day.
Yeah.
In fact, what it's doing, it does that for exactly, like scientifically they've tested this. It will give you that good feeling for 20 minutes. Your first glass of wine will give you that awesome feeling for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you will want more alcohol. And then in order to sustain that feeling. And then what happens is that at the end of the day, you're left with feelings of being hungover, even if it's just slight, and therefore making you less capable to deal with whatever was stressing you out in the first place. It also impacts your sleep, which makes you less capable of dealing with the stressor. It makes you more tense as soon as the alcohol wears off. So it's something that's so hard because we have these patterns of thinking, I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to enjoy. But, this book really helps you think about how those things are false. And we've just got to shift our perception about them.
Well, I will say, because I very much agree with the whole habit-based thing, and we've done podcast episodes on it related to other goals. And so it was interesting to me to read about it from the perspective of that in and of itself is a habit.
Oh, yeah.
And just considering it from that perspective. So although I'm not ready to go cold turkey, it definitely gave me a lot of awareness to start looking at it from the perspective of it is probably at this point a habit and not even a conscious decision.
Right. So this is what I say in the book. I actually don't recommend people go cold turkey or abstain from alcohol in general. I should clarify that. For me personally, I know that that's the best choice for me. But in my book, I don't recommend that people to do that. Because I think that for a lot of people, there are incredible, cultural rituals around it. Or if it's the one glass of wine that helps you get up and dance at the wedding, or if it's like the perfect accompaniment to a special meal, I think those glasses of wine or drinks can be amazing enhancers to your life. But a few rules that I have around them, I'm like, let's get clear that most of us drink too much. So let's find the drinks that actually are those really good drinks that really matter versus the drinks that we just drink habitually that are just adding weight to our waistlines and making us sleep less and making us less healthy and really not adding quality to our life. So I have people do an inventory of exactly how much you're drinking right now and which are the drinks that are adding to your life and which are the drinks that are taking away. And so one of the rules that I have about how you might distinguish the drinks that are good are happy drinks. So for me, that's drinks that are with other people that are celebratory. All right. So if you're like, oh my God, this is such a great moment, it makes it perfect as a drink. Versus if you ever hear yourself thinking, oh, I need a drink. I've had a crappy day. If you're drinking to fix a bad situation, then those are the drinks that I would substitute right away. Because those are the drinks that are impeding you from actually, remember, it's all about sitting down and figuring yourself out. So those are the drinks that are preventing you from figuring yourself out and giving yourself knowing that you have the resourcefulness to either just sit with that emotion and let it be, or figure out the crappy situation. And a drink will prevent both of those things from happening.
Well, I have to say, I loved absolutely the entire book. I thought I was totally going to be getting another diet, and it wasn't. And so it was so refreshing. I love the habits-based approach. I know we're running out of time, but I do quickly want to, before we come back and wrap up, I do want to quickly share how we met.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I think it just goes to show people, you know what I mean? They're the most amazing people are out there in this world if you just, are open to having experiences. So Oonagh and I were both attending Jeff Walker's LaunchCon in Dallas one year. And Denise Duffield-Thomas, she was there in town. And I love supporting other women when they're doing big things. So she's from Australia. She was going to be in town and she was doing a program. And so I just wanted to go support her. And so I put in the Facebook group, I didn't know anyone going to Jeff's event, but I posted in there and said, hey, anyone going to Denise's event that wants to go with? And Oonagh was like, tell me more. I want to go with. And so we had never met, but we went, had a nice little dinner beforehand.
Yeah.
Then we went to Denise's event. Oonagh got to go up on stage because she was a finalist for an award in Jeff's program. I was able to do some video for her. And we've stayed connected, and now we're, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We're doing the podcast.
All that. You're so right. Yeah. It's so weird. That's amazing.
So people always ask me, they're like, how do you know so many people? And it's like, you just show up and be authentic, right? I wasn't trying to make a friend or network or anything else.
Yeah.
I was just trying to experience life with others that were also open to experiences. And Oonagh, the tiger, I'm in.
Totally. And that's also you putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why when you say, hey, who wants to ride this train? People are like, yeah, I'll hop on that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, so glad that you were able to come on the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So
Thank you so much for
excited for you.
Thank you.
Those of you, if you don't have the book yet, go buy it. We will put a link in our show notes. But again, it is called Healthy as Fuck. Go follow Oonagh. We'll put this in the show notes. But what's the best way for them to find you and start following you?
Oh my gosh. Well, probably go to my website, fitfeelsgood.com. And then there'll be an opt-in. And, because I'll be honest, I'm much better with emails than I am with social media. But if you are more of a social media person, you can find my name on Instagram. It's Oonagh, Oonagh, Duncan at, Instagram or whatever. And I would love to connect with your audience, all you tigers and turtles out there. Much love. And I'm wishing that you have all the tool. I want to help you with this book and help you get healthy as fuck and feel amazing.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
For show notes, downloads, and other free resources, and to keep the conversation going, head on over to hustleandflowpodcast.com. See you there.